Hello, Steve Mills here, and it's great to be back live on the Results Podcast. I've been doing quite a few podcasts recently. I'm really getting into it and loving doing so. Now, you may recall that so far I've recorded 6 of my Raise Your Game CD programs into my podcast. So several years ago, I produced a series of marketing-based CDs. There were 12 of them in total. We're actually on CD number 7, which is coming up in a couple of minutes. And I thought, you know what? Nobody's got CDs anymore. I used to sell these for, I think they were £150 for the set. So I'm giving them away on my podcast now. And you've got the opportunity now to listen to CD number 7. I hope you enjoy it. It's really worth it. Although these, they're a few years old, the principles, the basic core of marketing remains the same. Maybe we've got different tools, but you're going to get a whole lot out of it, I'm sure. And I really hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to talking to you for a few minutes at the end. So sit back, relax, and draw your own conclusions. Thank you very much for listening, and welcome to CD number 7 of my Raise Your Game program. Hello, my name is Steve Mills, and I'd like to welcome you to the Raise Your Game program. As usual, I'm here to share with you some tried, tested, and proven ideas to massively grow your business. As usual, the program covers strategy, online and offline marketing, and sales. But first, how did you get on last month? Did you set any goals? Did you produce the soft, hard, and information systems for your business? Did you start to practice the use of intention and attention? Did you use any of the ideas you learnt from Tony Robbins? If you didn't, then now's the time to take action. Now's the time to raise your game, improve your business, and move your business where you want it to be. This month, I'm going to talk to you about lead generation and conversion. I'm going to provide you with some thoughts on how you can increase the number and the quality of your leads and help you to turn more of those into business. First, I've got a question for you. Are you selling hamburgers? What do I mean? Well, a little while ago, I was driving to one of my clients one morning, listening to Michael Gerber on my CD. Those of you who listened to the program last month will remember me talking about Michael Gerber and the E-Myth. I have a rule in my car that if I'm driving during work time, then this is time when I must learn. I must improve my knowledge. I actually call my car a university on wheels because I've spent so much time in it driving and learning from the leading experts in the world, and it's a great way, I believe, of learning what I call net time. Net time stands for no extra time. It doesn't take me any extra time, and it's much better than listening, I believe, to the radio or just, sitting there with my own thoughts. So you might want to think about having a go at that. Gerber is the author of the E-Myth and one of the world's leading experts on small business. To be honest, I wasn't really listening that much. It was, on in the background almost, and my thoughts were on other things. When suddenly he said something that made me really prick up my ears. He started talking about McDonald's and how McDonald's first started. There's a guy called Ray Kroc who walked into the McDonald Brothers restaurant when it was a small local restaurant. He was there to sell them a milk machine. And Ray noticed that the McDonald brothers had a fantastic business. So he approached the brothers asking to buy the franchise rights to McDonald's. And as they say, the rest is history. History shows that Ray Kroc bought the rights to franchise McDonald's for next to nothing. He He did that because that's what the McDonald brothers valued the business as. They tried to franchise the business, but in those days they felt that, who would buy a burger franchise? They just didn't believe in their product. They had a great business, but essentially they were too busy making hamburgers, too busy working in the business to do any other work at all. The reason they did not value the business is that they believed they didn't have the time to franchise it. They worked every hour they could. They made every hour they could making hamburgers. And this reminds me of many business owners. Many business owners say to me, well, I'm too busy making hamburgers, completing accounts, repairing locks, cleaning ovens, designing websites, or whatever that business does. If you think about it, most people listening to this CD went into business X amount of years ago, and they went into business doing the work of the business. They spend most of their time, or at least a significant amount, working in the business, doing the actual work that the business does. They work really hard, they work really long hours, and where do you think they are now? Well, they're probably in exactly the same position. They're working hard, they're working long hours, they're making enough money to keep the business going and to tick over. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not why I went into business. I went into business to succeed, to be successful. And whilst a lot of business people do exactly the same, they don't always achieve what they want. So my question for you is, how much time and effort are you spending working on your business? How much time and effort are you spending working on your marketing? Because if you think about, this sales and marketing side of your business, it really is the lifeblood to it. There was some research done recently by Dun & Bradstreet, which actually highlighted that successful businesses were successful because they'd been really effective at sales and marketing, getting sales into their business. And businesses were unsuccessful who didn't actually achieve that. So, whatever time you're spending currently on your sales and marketing side of your business, if you spent 20%, 30%, 50% more, it's going to have a massive impact on your business. I sometimes half joke with people, said, if you make 100 calls a month and that produces 5 sales, the easiest way to double the size of your business is to make 200 calls. It's as simple as that. So something for you to think about. How could you spend more time, money, and effort on the sales and marketing of your business? I'd like you now to think about what you've done in the last 7 days to improve yourself and your business. Why am I asking? Because my favourite saying is that if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got. And I've been saying that for many years, and I believe it's now not true. The changes in technology, how competitive things are, the economy. If you keep doing the same old thing again and again and again, you're not even going to get what you've always got. You're going to do worse. I really believe that, a business is either growing or it's dying. I'm either, in my health, I'm getting fitter or I'm getting less fit. Things are constantly growing. Nothing ever stays the same. In our business, we need to make sure we're growing. We need to make sure we as people are growing. I need to learn more. You need to learn more. You need to improve your knowledge in sales and marketing. Rest assured, if you keep doing the same old marketing, the same old way, the rewards that you get are probably going to reduce. So now's the time. Now's the time to take action. Now's the time to raise your game and to do something about it. So here are a couple of ideas for you to think about. How can you, first of all, stop wasting money on marketing? Because this is a key for many businesses. They spend X amount of money and they have no clue what's working and what's not. So the number one key, and I know I've said this before on the Raise Your Game program, but I'm saying it again to make sure that you start actually doing it, is to measure what's working and what isn't. Do you know your marketing numbers? How many inquiries you got last month? Where they came from? How many of those converted into meetings? How many of those meetings into sales, etc., etc.? You need to know those key marketing numbers. Without that, you don't know where to spend your marketing budget. You don't know what proportion of it's being wasted, and you do not know another very important number, and that is how much it costs you to acquire a customer in the first place. You're going to be hearing from a gentleman called Jay Abraham in a minute. Jay's one of the world's leading experts, and he's going to be talking to you about the lifetime value of a client. What is the marginal net worth? How much is a client worth when they come on board, and how to improve that? The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is testing. Testing the different aspects of your marketing, testing a headline on an advert in order to try and improve it, testing the keywords that you use on your website in order to increase it, testing the headline on a pay-per-click campaign in order to try and get more people to click on your particular advert, testing what you say when you stand up at a networking event, etc., etc., etc. You've got to test and measure. These two things are two of the most important things that you can do in your marketing. Let me ask you another question. Are some businesses thriving in the current economy? Are your competitors doing better than you? Some of them are, some of them aren't, clearly. But the ones who are thriving are the ones who've adapted their marketing, the ones who've stopped wasting their time and making the best use of their budget, whatever that is. In order to get the best use of your budget, one of the recommendations that I'd like to make with you is to think about being more niched. How could you become more focused? Look at it this way. If you wanted a new kitchen for your house, would you rather hire a general builder or someone who specialised in building kitchens? If you're in the leisure industry, would you sooner have a solicitor who specialised in employment law within the leisure industry rather than a general solicitor? I think we know the answer to that. Another question, would you pay a little bit more for the specialist solicitor or the specialist builder than you would for a general one? And again, I think we probably know the answer. So the next question is, what can you become a specialist in? Now, that doesn't mean that you have to drop all your current customers because you're going to specialise in that industry. It might be that you're going to keep your current customers, but you're going to, as far as your marketing's concerned, you've picked out 3 niches, 3 specific areas that you're going to focus on. Because we can't market to everybody. We can't, very few successful businesses say to me, well, we provide services to small businesses. Because there's too big a market there. We need to be a little bit more niched, a little bit more focused. What's your specific area? What size of business? What particular industries could we niche in? These things are really important. So, making sure that you consider this, how could you become more niched? The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is not relying on referrals. Now, as you probably know, I'm a big advocate of referrals. I'm a big advocate of being proactive and having systems in place to win business from referral. Many of you will be aware of my Grow Your Business with Referral system, which is a workbook and 6 CD program that I've developed over many years to help businesses to massively increase the amount of business they get from referrals. However, I talk to business owners and they say to me, sometimes they'll say, well, we've been running our business now for, 6 years. And to be honest, we've tried various things in marketing, but, nothing seems to work. And so what we've done is we now rely on referrals. We win all our business or most of our business from word of mouth. It's either repeat business or it's word of mouth. Now, there's a problem with that. And that is that it is costing that particular business thousands upon thousands of pounds in lost income. Because if you think about referrals, it's a little bit like what I'd call an income stream. There's an amount of money that's going to come in from referrals, and it'll come in consistently, and as long as you keep doing a good job, it'll keep coming in again and again and again. But there's a ceiling. There's only so much business you're going to get from referrals. Now, if you then started to introduce a more effective way of winning business from your website, and you increase that, and then you started using advertising, and you started using telemarketing and direct mail and direct email and PR and so on and so forth, then you can build a truly successful business by having what I term multiple streams of income. And this is how successful businesses do this. Show me one large, successful business that relies solely on referrals. Okay, maybe there's a couple of multi-level marketing organizations out there that do that, but let's look at this in reality. 99% of all successful businesses market themselves using multiple streams of income. Vodafone don't just have one way of winning business. They have multiple ways of winning business. Next thing I'd like to talk to you about is pricing. And again, I've spoken about this on Raise Your Game, but I want to just bring this up because I really do believe this is another area for us to think about. What about putting your prices up? You think, well, I can't put my prices up, Steve. Times are hard, business is tough, the recession and all those sorts of things. I really mean it. I think you should think about putting your prices up. You might not put them up to your current clients, but you might put them up to new clients or to the new niche that you're going to start working in. Would anyone not buy from you because you put your prices up by 1%? You were 1% more expensive. No? Well, what about 2% then? Or 3 or 4 or 5? Put your prices up. Make sure you measure what's working and what's not. And you can easily increase the size of your business by putting your prices up. Think about this. You've got 100 inquiries come in, and you currently convert 60% of those into business. You put your prices up by 3%, and it makes no difference whatsoever. You still convert 60%. So you put your prices up by another 2%. It makes no difference whatsoever to your business. You still convert 60%. You put your prices up by, 15%, and that goes down to, instead of 60%, it goes down to 55%. So you don't quite convert. You've got a little bit more resistance in terms of pricing. But the difference is absolutely massive in terms of profit. So, think about testing price. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 at the moment in terms of 1 being the cheapest, 10 being the more expensive? Are you at a boot fair? Are you at Marks and Spencer's? Are you at Harrods? Where's your positioning in terms of price? Because people will spend a whole variety of different amounts for different services. This morning on my way here, I cleaned my car. And I cleaned my car and it cost me £8.50 at a place where they'd hoovered out the inside and cleaned my car. Interestingly, this morning I got an email from a friend of mine who runs a business, and he calls himself the world's leading car cleaner, and he charges £5,000 to clean a car. And it really hit me. I thought, wow, I can get my car cleaned for probably for about £3 or £4 if I take it through a drive-through, for let's say £4 to £5,000 for exactly the same thing, dependent on the quality, dependent on the positioning. But it's really always amazing to think the difference in pricing. So now we come to the guest speaker section of today. And today we're really lucky because we're going to be listening to a guy called Jay Abraham. Jay is someone I've respected for many, many years, and I've learned a phenomenal amount about marketing from Jay. Jay is probably one of the leading experts in the world in marketing. And I've personally invested, I would estimate, somewhere about £4,000 to £5,000 in his various programs over the years. You're going to get to listen to about 10 minutes of Jay. I'd strongly recommend you go out onto the internet and buy a load of his stuff. It really is good. There's loads of CDs, audio programs, all that sort of stuff. You can listen to them in net time in your own car. Absolutely fantastic. So without further ado, here comes Jay.
Now I'm going to introduce to you real quickly a concept which is very critical here, and that's what's called marginal net worth, or understanding what's called the lifetime value of a client. We're talking about these three ways to grow a business. How many people you've got, how much they buy when they purchase currently, how many times they buy from you over a period of time. Until and unless you look at your current business and you examine and you quantify and analyze those three figures, number of clients, active, and the attrition rate, number one. Number two, size of the average sale by category, meaning by type of product or by type of client. And number three, number of times they repurchase in a year and over what their predictable buying life is. You can't know how much you can afford to not spend but invest to bring more clients on board. Let me give you a great story about how I increased a business 600% in 6 months just by getting them to look at these numbers and then understand this concept of acquiring clients at a break even up front. I had a client one time that was in the fluid transmission business. They sold PVC pipe, plastic pipe that was used in manufacturing, in bottling, and in agriculture to transport fluid from one place to another. Chemicals, water to irrigate, syrup to mix colas, chemicals in the manufacturing process. They came to me wanting a breakthrough, and the first thing I said, okay, well, tell me what your lifetime value dynamics are. What are the numbers? What is the marginal net worth of a client? They didn't even know what it meant, let alone what their numbers were. And so I said, go back and tell me, on average, worst case. And by the way, when you're looking at this, you always want to think in terms of worst case, never best. Why? Because if you look at the worst case outcome, not the best, you will always be pleasantly surprised. You'll never be devastated by being too optimistic or too zealous. So I said, at worst case, not best, when you bring a new client on board, what do they spend with you? Not best case, but worst case. And they looked and they had never looked before. I said, worst case, when somebody buys, how many times a year will they come back and buy from you? Worst case, how much will they spend each time they come back? And finally, worst case, in their usable life, how long will they stay an active client? A year or 2, 3, 10? They never looked at that. So I sent them off to do that. I also asked them, what are you paying right now to your sales force? They had 6 salespeople in the field working in designated territories, calling on manufacturers, bottlers, farmers. They were paying their salespeople 10% of profit on every sale that they did. They came back to me after 3 weeks working the formula that I gave them and analyzing what the marginal net worth or lifetime value of their clients were. And here's what they found out. Worst case, not best. Every time they brought a new client on board, first time that client bought $200 worth of profit on average. That client, worst case, not best, bought back from them on average, conservatively speaking, 5 times a year. And worst case, on average, every new client that bought the first time stayed with them for 3 full years. Now, they didn't all stay. Some only stayed for 6 months, but some stayed for 20 years. And they figured worst case, on average, every new client coming on board was worth to them 3 years of purchases, 5 purchases a year, $200 a purchase a year, or $3,000 worth of combined profit just to get a new client in the front door. They were paying their salespeople 10% of commission. I said to them, oh, this is easy. It's going to be no-brainer. I figured out the whole solution. They said, well, what is it? I said, all you got to do is tell your salespeople that as long as they keep performing at the level they have been with their existing clients, meaning if their existing territory has been generating $50,000 a month in volume, as long as their monthly volume doesn't fall below that level from their existing clients, every time they bring a new client in for the first purchase, you will give them 100% of the profit. They started screaming because remember, the profit on average they had identified was $200. They were paying the salesperson 10%. In the past, that would have meant a brand new client would have made the salesperson $20. I was suggesting they pay the salesperson $200 or $180 more. They were just livid. They said, you got to be crazy. Why should we spend or waste $180? We don't have to. And I said, it's not that. Because every time you invest $180 you never would have had, because this was clients you didn't have before, at one time, you're assuring yourself of getting 90% of the $2,800 in profit that will come from that one-time investment, from the repurchases and the lifetime value of those clients that will come in the future. I said, so an $180 one-time investment that cost you nothing because it's business you didn't have. And because now, by giving the salesperson 10 times the commission, you're 10 times stimulating them to go out and open new accounts. You will make yourself 90% of $2,800 you never would have had in the future. I said, take it home and look at it. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's not tricks. They did that. They followed that. They applied that. It produced 600% increase in 6 months, and they're still using a variation of that formula today because they understood you could acquire clients at a break even. And break even to them meant they took the $180 that was normally reserved for their profit and they invested it in more commission. That's not how you have to invest it. You can invest it in more products or services you add at the point of purchase as a bonus or a package. You can invest it in being able to spend more for advertising because you can accept less conversion because breaking even on the first sale is acceptable to you. You can invest it in more referral fees. It doesn't matter how you invest it. What matters is that you recognize that you can invest it because your goal is to get the purchase transaction started faster and easier so you can reap all the profit rewards in the future from the repurchases. Most people in business don't have a clue what I call the marginal net worth or lifetime revenue and the corresponding gross profits are that you make on all those transactions. You don't have a clue what you can afford to not spend, but to invest in the beginning and subsequently to attract, to convert, to sustain that buying relationship.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed listening to Jay and really start to embrace this idea of how much is a customer worth to you. What is their marginal net worth? How much are they worth to you once they come on board? And once you know that, as Jay said, you can afford to think about how much I'm willing to pay to win that customer in the first place. This is a really unique way of thinking because most business owners think I'm willing to invest £20,000 a year in marketing. I actually believe that's the wrong way of going about it. I believe that you should invest £200 to win a client or £2 to win a client, dependent on your industry and what you do. But if you know how much a client's worth, you can then make provision for paying so much for that client. I'll give you an example of how this works. An easy example would be advertising. I spend £1,000 a month on an advert. And every time I run that advert, I know that the phone is going to ring approximately, on average, 20 times. And I know that I'm going to get 18 meetings out of those 20 phone calls. And I know that I'm going to convert, let's say, 10 of them into new business. I also know that my average unit of sale is, as an example, is £5,000. So I know that every time I run that advert, I am going to get £50,000. So once I know that, I can run that advert as often as I like. And the fact that it costs £1,000 is really of no interest whatsoever because I know that for every 1,000 I spend, that's producing 10 clients. So I also know that to win a client is costing me £100. Okay, so this is the importance of having these sort of marketing numbers, of making sure that you know what's working, what's not, testing to try and improve it, and you've got a good understanding of exactly how much a client's worth and what it's cost you to win that client in the first place. A couple of Raise Your Game programs ago, you listened to a gentleman called Peter Thompson. Peter's one of the UK's leading experts on business. And I attended a seminar of Peter's a couple of weeks back, and he spoke about verisimilitude. I thought, what does that mean? I've never heard of that word. And he said to me, it's really important to make sure that all your marketing has got a high level of verisimilitude. And I immediately put my hand up. I said, Peter, I'm really sorry here, but what does verisimilitude mean? And he said, I'm glad you asked. It actually means the appearance of the truth. Your marketing must appear to be true. We've all read, I'm sure, marketing, these marketing letters and emails and things, and you think, it's all Americanized, or it's all, and nothing against Americans here, but, sometimes, I think American marketing for the UK market can be a little bit sort of, in your face. We're a little bit more conservative, I think, and maybe used a little bit more, careful use of words. But the important thing, whether it's, whatever your style is, that your marketing has got an appearance of the truth. It needs to be realistic. It needs to be believable. If you're going to convince me about something, I need to trust you. That's what marketing's all about. It's about building trust. I often talk on my courses that your job and my job in marketing and sales is to get people to know you, like you, trust you. If I've got somebody that knows me, likes me, trusts me, where would they go? They'd come to me. If they were interested in marketing services, they were looking to hire somebody to advise them and to help them to grow their business, are they going to go onto the internet and trust it to anybody? Or are they going to go to someone that they know, like, and trust? Well, we need to do that through our marketing. We need to make sure that we can get people that we know, like, and trust. One of the ways of doing that is through the power of testimonials. Testimonials are really, really important. If I tell you how wonderful my consultancy services are and how much money I'm going to make for you and how I'm going to be able to grow your business and improve your website and get you, search engine optimized and all those sorts of wonderful things, I've got secondary gain for that, because you're going to pay me an amount of money to actually do that, to help you. So whilst, I hope you'd believe that I could do that, it's really, I believe, more important that I've got other people out there recommending me, referring business to me. It's much more believable. And one of the ways of doing that is through testimonials. So the power of testimonials is really important to your business and my business. The question is, where do we get them from and how do we use them? Well, a lot of people, I believe, a lot of businesses have got a few testimonials hanging around in the office somewhere. Often they're in a filing cabinet, third drawer down, file number 6. That's not really going to help you. We need to use those testimonials. So let's talk about how we can maximize the use of testimonials for a minute. So we've got a variety of testimonials, and typically we might only have 4 or 5 with most businesses, but let's just presume that's the case for the time being. So we've got to get them on our website, clearly. And some people have them on the website already, and they'll have what's known as a testimonials page, which is great. That's fine and important to do. But also, it's important to have those testimonials in amongst the other pages as well, because someone might not go to a particular page on testimonials. I'll give you an example. On our website, there's a page all about the sales training that I do. And surprise, surprise, the testimonials on that page are all about the sales training work that I've done. So you need to copy that, utilize that. So you've got testimonials scattered in amongst the site, and you've also got them as a testimonials page. What about producing a PDF that you could send out that, you automatically send out to all your new prospects? You send them a list of all the people who've recommended you. You have in a brochure or a leaflet or on a piece of paper, whatever. You just got to maximize that. You might have a testimonial on an advert that you're going to use, or testimonials on case studies that you've got, etc., etc. So it's just a matter of saying, right, okay, these are the testimonials that I've got. How am I going to improve the way I use them? The next thing to think about then is, how can we get more? Well, it's very, very easy. The old saying, I think it's from the Bible, that says, ask and you shall receive. So ask. If you don't ask, you won't get. You might get, but you probably won't get as many. So ask for testimonials. You just say to them, you say to a customer, I've been working with you now for 6 months and just making sure that you're happy with the service that we've provided. They say, oh yeah, you're absolutely wonderful, brilliant. That's a great opportunity. That's an open door to ask for a testimonial. One of the mistakes that people make, I believe, when they do ask for a testimonial, they'll say something like, well, thanks very much. I'm really pleased you're happy with what we do. I was wondering whether you'd be kind enough to maybe write a testimonial letter for me that I could maybe use on our website and things. And people go away and they'll say, yeah, no problem at all. I'd be more than happy to do that. 3 weeks later, nothing's happened. What I prefer to do and what I'd advise you to do, let's say I've just done some work for somebody and they're really pleased with that work, and I found that out. I've asked them, or they've just told me, that training course you did, Steve, was absolutely brilliant. I've learned so much about marketing in the last couple of days. I really feel that that's going to make a big difference to my business. Now, that statement to me is already a testimonial. I'd say, thank you very much, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer. I was wondering, what you've just said there is really complimentary and I really appreciate what you've said. I was wondering whether you would mind if I wrote that down, sent it to you in an email just to confirm that you're happy with what I've written down, and then I would like to use that as a testimonial on my website. Would that be possible? Now, I've been doing that for years and nobody has ever said no. You've just got a testimonial. It's really easy. It doesn't have to be that complicated. But the point is, if you don't ask, you don't get. Right, well, that just about brings that to an end. I hope you enjoyed that. I particularly enjoyed listening again to Jay talking. Always really interesting, and Jay talks a lot about the numbers in marketing and how you can, really get, as Jay said, unprecedented improvement by knowing the numbers and knowing what they are, and then B, working on improving them. So whether that's the lifetime value, the cost of the sale, the average unit of sale, and so on and so forth. They're all KPIs, key performance indicators in your business and my business. And as all numbers, they can be improved. So we need to work on that. We need to not only listen to the podcast today and think, oh yeah, that was interesting, but decide what you're going to do. Perhaps it's going to be to look at referral. Who knows? But in tough times, which we're going through right now, it's really important, I believe, to get the maximum really return on your sales and marketing investment. So again, thank you ever so much for listening to this podcast. If you've not yet subscribed, then please do so. I'd love it if you'd be kind enough to share this with others. This is all about getting messages out to people and helping them with their marketing in these tough times. So please feel free to share the podcast with others. And again, thanks very much for listening. And I look forward to speaking to you on the next podcast. Thank you very much.